make sure that we are getting a good amount of cash flow, and we're like maximizing the cash flow potential of the property. And at the same time, if there's a way to do a value add opportunity, and exploring that option, and in the long run, which will add more value to the house and also give you more cash flow, right? So um, basically maximizing the potential of the specific property.
All right. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I think you know if 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 anyone's looking for a cash flowing, like again, like we talk about this very often, they're not that easy to find because of the rates, and also the prices are still relatively high. So this is great for somebody that's looking for pretty safe investment in a good location that's going to get you positive cash flow right on the bat. And then also it will allow you to add value and increase the cash flow over time. So it's kind of a win-win-win. Um, the only I guess part missing is you can't necessarily refinance and pull out your equity until maybe 3-4 years down the road. Um, but those are hard to do right now anyways, right? Like those rare opportunities. I mean, there are some of them that are out there, but you have to be really honed in on the actual construction side of things to make sure things don't go wrong, because if it does, then you're probably not going to be able to achieve that refinance that you're hoping to get, right? So this, I believe, it's a good option for a little bit of a passive, somewhat passive investment. And then later on, you could do the value add once you get the permit from the city. Henry, you could probably chime in based on your findings with the city and what that looks like in terms of getting the fourth unit added on. I think he's got his hands up. But yeah, so let me just jump onto the numbers so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Let me know if you can see that okay.
Hold on. Let me switch.
You can see my, yeah, you can see my screen. All right, so you can see my screen. But how do I? Can you still see the spreadsheet?
Hold on. I'm trying to find your spreadsheet here.
Oh, it got minimized a little bit, didn't it?
There you go. Okay. I got your spreadsheet here.
Okay, so I'll just go through the numbers briefly. We have our purchase price. They're asking a little bit higher, but I think we can negotiate that down quite a bit. And just basic, loan to value. You're borrowing around 75%. You could do 80%. That'll just reduce your cash flow. So I would say right now put more down, and That would bring out your total capital required is around 256. So that includes your carrying costs for about 4 months, where you could get in and do some cosmetic rentals to the existing units. They'll be fully vacant, and then also accounts for some of the closing costs, you know, and inspection and things like that. So you're looking at 256, 487, so roughly around 260,000 to acquire the property and hold it for the duration of the renovations. And then the renovation cost, I have it at 100K, so that broken down into 3 units. So average, you're looking around 33,000 per unit. But I think given the top floor was really nice, I think you're going to spend the least amount of capital on that unit. And then the second floor requires the most amount of work because I would change some of the layouts and then add a second bedroom plus a den, and then also the main floor. I wouldn't really change the layout. I would just do cosmetic, so just flooring, paint, things like that, which is actually really nice, and it's got a 2 bathroom. So in terms of rent, you'll get good rent. So that's how you're able to get positive cash flow is if you focus on larger properties. If you get a house or a multi-unit building that's got, let's say, three one-bedroom apartments, yeah, it's a triplex, but the rent from three one-bedroom units is not going to be nearly enough to cash flow that property. So what I like is your two, maybe even a three-bedroom plus 2 plus dens. So if you have two-bedroom units and then a one-bedroom unit, that would be ideal. In this case, we actually have that, and you could probably make it 2 plus 10. That way, we can even push the cash flow even higher. And also location. So the better the location, the higher the rental income. You'll get better tenants, and they'll be willing to pay a little bit more than, for example, in a B or a C location. So this is in an A plus location right by Gage Park. So it's really nice, large homes, um, family friendly neighborhood. So you can push the rents up a little bit. And then it's also got a detached garage. So for now, I would just rent it out as storage. Um, in the meantime, you'd be applying for permits to convert that into the additional dwelling. And that would be some time down the road, maybe a year or maybe 2 years down the road. And in order to build that, obviously there would be additional renovations required.
too complicated.
Makes sense to me. Sorry, I'm just posting the link on live. Sorry, buddy. Okay.
No worries, no worries.
If
If
it
it
doesn't,
doesn't,
and
and
you've got
you've got
questions,
questions,
feel
feel
free
free
to
to
ask.
ask.
Um,
Um,
but
but
Can we put start? Can you start tagging these things in the deals? Like maybe not share the Excel spreadsheet, but make it like a flat PDF. So you could we could link the deal and then post the flat PDF.
yeah,
yeah,
I could
I
do
can
that.
do that.
Would
Might
you
be
I can
like
do that.
want me
Do you
to
good
want
do
to
that
do that
for
now,
now
or
or
people to.
later?
No, no, you don't have to do it now. Like at the end of the call, what we'll do is we'll dump it in a spot, right? So people can kind of
Yeah,
like look back to it or refer back to the deal or the property. And I think it'll be
Yeah,
helpful to everybody, right? Like I'm sure, like I know Cindy's always looking for stuff, and she can like go back and like revisit the numbers, right? Even rewatch the
yes,
video, but
I
you can revisit
actually
the numbers.
yeah. I
yeah, I
actually
actually
got a
got a
couple of
couple of
off
off
markets
markets
too
too
that
that
might
might
be
be
interest
interest
of
of
Cindy. You
Cindy. You
might be
might be
interested in
interested
that,
in
so
that, so
I'll
I'll
share
share
those.
those.
I got
I
some
got some
pictures,
pictures,
so I'll
so I'll
share those
share those
pictures.
pictures.
They're
They're
both
both
single
single
family
family
homes,
homes,
but
but
they're
they're
priced
priced
pretty
pretty
well, so
well,
I
so I
think
think
it would
it would
cash flow
cash
as
flow as
just
just
single
single
family
family
rentals.
rentals.
So I'll
So I'll
share
share
that as
that as
well
well
in
in
the
the
deals
deals
section,
section,
off
off
market.
market.
And
And
those will be
those will be
pictures. So I
pictures.
don't
So I
know
don't know
if you want
if
me
you
to
want me to
limit
limit
to
to
like a
like
certain
a
number
certain
of
number of
pictures
pictures
because
because
it could
it could
get
get
pretty
pretty
spammy
spammy
because
because
there's a lot
there's
of
a lot of
pictures.
pictures.
No,
So
so
I don't
I
know.
think you can make it like like it's like a post, right? So you could have everything contained within one post. Right, you can just put a few pictures and then you can just tell people like DM me
Yeah,
for more, right? Like that would be the ideal. You don't need to
Yeah,
dump everything in there. You want them to like reach out and go with you to like get the data that they need, right? So that one, they're not misinterpreting stuff and like they know exactly what the deal is. But you're just this is like high level, right? So that people can kind of quickly see what it is.
yeah,
yep,
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
That way you can
let me
keep them
let
on
me
jump
point.
jump
keeping it
keeping
on
it on
point.
point.
I like
I like it.
it.
Okay,
So
so
cash flow,
cash flow,
right? So
right?
we
So we
got
got
the
the
positive
positive
cash flow
cash flow
per
per
month.
month.
So if we were to hold this property for 2 years, let's say, so 2024 and 2025, so you have a mortgage pay down for those 2 years that's broken down into here. So each year you're getting $8,538 in mortgage pay down. Well, the first year you're getting 8,538, and the second year you're getting slightly more because your principal balance is lower, so you're paying more money into your principal rather than your interest, right? So, and then on top of that, your annual cash flow for 2024 and then 2025. So what I did is you can do a 2.5% increase in your to the tenants legally, right? So I always say do your rent increases, whatever the minimum is, because you never know. That tenant could be there for 5 or 10 years. You don't want to be stuck with the same rent after 10 years. So I would say do the minimum, right? Unless it's built after 29 November 2018. So you could do a larger increase if that's the case. But in this case, these were existing prior to that day. So I would say do your whatever the minimum is, because over time you'll see the benefit of it. So I factored in 2.5% increase. So in 2025, your cash flow jumps up from 6215 on an annual basis to $8,102. So again, not significant, but you'll see the results over time because again, that's your cash on cash return, right? So anyway, you can maximize that. You want to take advantage of it. Okay, so let's look at future value. So I kind of outlined what you would need to do, what the strategy would be in this case. 2024, you'd purchase, reno, and rent out the 3 units. And at the same time, you would be applying for the permit for the fourth unit. And then 2025, hopefully, you get to construct that fourth unit in the garage. And hopefully, if you're able to refinance, if not, again, your cash flow would be increased significantly because essentially that would be a one-bedroom house on its own. And you could get another 1,700 in monthly rental income. And again, if you look at the numbers here, you're getting 517 plus now you add another 1,700. That's going to be close, over 2,000, right? So given that you have to spend some more money to get that there, so there will be some more capital that would be required to invest back into this property. So right now, your total capital investment, including the down payment, holding cost, and renovations, you're looking at around 371 and 487, right? So, oops, I just did something here. Okay, so yeah, so 371, 487, so 372,000. That would get this project up and running at full capacity and maximizing the cash flow. And then additionally, if you did do the garage conversion, you're probably looking at another, I don't know, Mark, what do you think? You know, if it's an existing structure in terms of adding new plumbing, well, it's going to be mini splits, but so plumbing, hydro, and obviously doing the interior construction.
Is it
What do you think is a fair?
is it skeleton on the inside, or there's existing drywall and stuff already?
Right now, it's just the garage, so no doubt.
So no drywall. How many square feet did you say? Sorry.
It's
About
about
400
400
square
square
feet.
feet.
Gonna get, but I'm gonna have to run the drain and water lines and electrical to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
So you
think
gotta do
reno.
something.
So I think there's gonna be reno for like, I don't know, like somewhere I would say between 45 to 65 for like the interior renovation stuff,
Okay.
Okay.
and then plumbing and electrical, that'll be a separate cost. It's going to depend on how far it is from the road and how much drainage I got to, like, that's hard to guess, right? Could be 20,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
probably
no,
maybe
that's good.
20 grand, like 10 grand for electrical, 20 for plumbing would be like, but that's just a guess. I don't know, right? Like every foot is more trenching, more digging. Is there asphalt in the way that we're going to have to cut at? Like there's like a lot of variables to that, for a guess,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good spot if you add like an additional 30K to that. So 90 to 120, I would be a good estimate to get this done. I don't know what you
okay,
estimated.
Okay,
right.
like
What did you estimate?
I
I
went on
went
the
on the
high
high
end,
end. I
but
put,
well,
well,
it's not
it's
on
not
this
on this
page, but
page, but
just
just
kind of
kind
like
of like
ran
ran
some
some
brief
brief
numbers.
numbers.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
So
it's
it's
actually
actually
another
another
option. You
option.
see
You
at the
see at the
bottom,
bottom,
there's
there's
like
like
option
option
two and
two and
option
option
three.
three.
So I
So
yeah,
I
went with
went
the
with the
150K.
150K.
okay,
That
That
would
would
include some
include
of
some
the
of the
drawings
drawings
and
and
things
things
like
like
that,
that,
city
city
yeah,
fees
fees
and
and
yeah.
whatnot.
whatnot.
So I
So I
think we're
think we're
kind of in
kind of in
line
line
with our
with our
numbers. So
numbers.
that's
So that's
good.
good.
Um,
Um,
okay,
okay,
so I'll
so I'll
continue
continue
on with
on with
this.
this.
So you're
So you're
looking
looking
at
at
22.
22.
Okay,
Okay,
so the
so the
ROI,
ROI,
right?
right?
Because
Because
everybody at the
everybody
end
at
of
the
the
end of the
day,
day,
that's what
that's
we
what
want
we
to
want to
look at.
look
Like,
at. Like,
what is
what is
my
my
ROI on
ROI
this
on this
investment,
investment,
right?
right?
Because
Because
and that's
and
kind
that's
of
kind of
why
why
I
I
went with
went
this
with this
option
option
because it
because it
did give
did give
us a
us a
better
better
ROI
ROI
compared to
compared
the
to
other
the other
options.
options.
So we're
So we're
looking
looking
at, so
at,
let's
so let's
say
say
at
at
the end
the
of
end of
2025,
2025,
the
the
value
value
is
is
1.15,
1.15,
and
and
you were
you
to
were to
refinance. So
refinance.
you
So
have
you have
few
a few
options.
options.
Let's say
Let's
you've
say
got
you've
a
got a
2-year
2-year
fixed
fixed
mortgage at
mortgage at
6%.
6%.
It's
It's
actually going
actually
to be
going to be
lower than
lower than
6%, but
6%, but
let's
let's
just
just
go
go
with
with
those
those
numbers.
numbers.
And
And
at the end
at
of
the end of
2025,
2025,
in
in
2026,
2026,
let's say
let's
you
say
were
you
to
were to
refinance
refinance
or
or
sell the
sell the
property.
property.
So let's
So
say you
let's say you
sold it at
sold it at
115.
115.
That means
That
you have
means you have
equity of
equity of
230,000.
230,000,
Um,
um,
and
and
your
your
total
total
mortgage paid
mortgage
down
paid
for
on
the
for the
two
two
years.
years.
So
So
these two
these two
numbers
numbers
added
added
together is
together is
around
around
18,000.
18,000,
And then your
and then your
total
total
cash
cash
flow.
flow.
So
So
these two
these two
numbers
numbers
added
added
together
together
is
is
around
around
14,000.
14,000.
Keeping in
Keeping in
mind
mind
that
that
this number
this
is
number
going to
is
be
going to
factored
factor
into
into
here.
here.
So,
So,
but
but
keeping in
keeping
mind
in
this
mind
would
this
be
would be
additional
additional
profit
profit
if you
if you
didn't
didn't
have
have
any
any
contingency,
contingency,
any
any
of
of
these
these
items that
items
you
that you
needed to
needed to
spend
spend
on
on
right
right
here.
here.
So
So
your,
your,
maintenance, for
maintenance, for
example, let's
example,
say the
let's say the
tenants
tenants
do their
do
own
their own
maintenance. They
maintenance.
cut
They
the
cut the
grass, they
grass, they
shovel the
shovel the
snow.
snow.
You don't
You don't
necessarily
necessarily
have to
have to
spend
spend
$100 a
$100 a
month.
month.
But
But
based on my
based on my
experience,
experience, like I
I have a
have a
guy that
guy
does
that
snow
does snow
removal.
removal.
This
This
year we
year we
haven't had
haven't
any
had any
snow
snow
really.
really.
He's really
He's really
gone out
gone
there
there
only
only
once, and I
once, and I
paid.
paid.
Uh, so
So
it
it
was
was
two
two
properties
properties
he
he
did
did
for
for
me,
me,
and I
and I
spent
spent
$120
$120
for
for
maintenance,
maintenance,
right? So
right? So
that's
that's
spread
spread
between two
between two
properties.
properties.
Um,
Um,
so
so
if it's
if it's
another year
another
like
year
that,
like that
next year,
next
for
year, for
example,
example,
you're
you're
not
not
going to
going to
spend
spend
$100 a
$100 a
month.
month.
Again,
Again,
I
I
like
like
to
to
factor
factor
that in
that
there
in there
because
because
I'd
I'd
rather
rather
be a
be
little
a
bit
little
more
bit more
conservative.
conservative.
So
So
the
the
likelihood of
likelihood of
you,
you,
this
this
$800
$800
accumulating
accumulating
every
every
single
single
month
month
for
for
two
two
years,
years, your total cash flow will be higher than this. But then again, you never know, right? Maybe the furnace goes, and now you have to spend a couple of thousand to replace the furnace. So instead of having to come out of pocket, you have this money accumulating in that account. So better to be, safe than sorry, right? So given those numbers, you're looking at a total ROI over the span of 2 years at 140% on your capital. So you invested 371, you made 230 and 117 plus 14. And actually, hold on, this is after the refinance, I believe. Yes. So okay, so let's say you refinanced, right? So you refinanced and you got back 262 out of your 371, right? Which means you only have 108,000 left in the deal. And based on you leaving in 108,000, your return is 140% on your 108,000. Right, so that's the ROI there. So it would be beneficial if you can refinance, and even if you do refinance and you say, okay, I'm not going to sell it, I'll just hold it. You will have a cash flow of 379. That goes up or that goes down because you're borrowing more money, right? So you're pulling back your a chunk of your initial capital, but at a lower interest rate. So hopefully by 2026, again, no crystal ball, not really sure where we're going to be at, but hopefully it's a lot better than where we're at right now. So I'm predicting 4.5. So the reason why I went with 4.5 is if you look at the average interest rate for the last 30 to 40 years, it averages out to be 4.5%. It's somewhere around that. So it's not 2% like how it was during COVID, but it's not also not 6%, right? So I went with the average, which is 4.5, and I think that's reasonable. And at those numbers, you're still positive cash flow at $379, and you still have your contingency fund in terms of any other. If you have a vacancy, if you have property management that you're paying for, if you have any maintenance or capital expenditures that you need to spend on, you have another $800 per month that you can dip into if needed. So yeah, so that would be the first step on this project, and then the next step would be to do your garden suite, additional dwelling unit, and then at that point you need more money. You need another 120, so this will probably jump up to a total of 500K, close to 500K. But then you can also refinance with the fourth unit and get a good chunk of that amount back, and then you'll cash flow around $2,000 a month, right? So you have multiple options here. Really depends on where your financial situation is, and based on what you're able to accomplish, this would be a good opportunity. This is not the only opportunity, but this is one of the better ones that I found. That's a legal triplex and relatively decent pricing. Again, you don't like this is a big house. Usually, these type of homes back in the peak of the market, they were going for like 1.2. There's actually one for sale right now at 1.4. Not sure if that's gonna sell, but they're definitely trying to get as much as they can. And they bought that at the peak at 1.325. So they bought it for 1.3. Now they're trying to sell it for 1.4. I don't think they're going to, but you never know. But yeah, so that's my deal of the week. What do you think?
I think it's good. I mean, it's not like that's where I find like people are having a harder time is like it's not the same as it was before, and people are still chasing those like those crazy numbers that you were able to get before, right? And they're literally chasing a unicorn, right? That thing does not exist anymore. Hold on, I'm gonna throw you up here, and I'm gonna just switch back to my camera.
Yeah, I remember not even during COVID, but it was just like didn't really matter. You bought a house, and 4 months later, you could refinance and pull back all your money, plus more in some cases. I had a client actually. I think you met her. She bought, so between 2020 to 2022, she bought 5 properties.
Oh wow.
And she bought whatever she bought. She renovated within like 3 months because we weren't getting permits at that time. It's like the city was closed essentially. So 3 months later, she got a refund. So she bought it for like 600 something, and then she refined it for a million. So she got her capital out plus more, and then she bought another one, same thing, and then the last one she bought in 2022. So and the last one she bought, she's not able to pull out the capital just because the values are not there.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, some of the ones that she refied, if you were to refinance those right now, it would be underwater, right? So it's like, but the rental income coming in from the property, it's carrying itself. So there's no reason for her to sell or refinance. She's got all her capital. She doesn't have any capital in the deal. She's got more capital out than she put in, and she still owns the property, and it's carrying itself. But that scenario is not going to happen right now.
No, and then I don't know if we'll get back to those crazy days, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's why That's why for me, I like these buildings. Right, there's a lot of incentive to go to the 5+ units, right, to get into the commercial financing and deal with that because those numbers still look great. Like before the interest rates hike and stuff like that, it's still good. It's still good. It's probably even better now that you can get 95% loan to value on a lot of them, right, or as close as you can to 95.
Yeah, I was actually chatting with the. He's not a broker, but he works for like who's called credit union, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But they're CMHC approved, so they can go. They can go straight into CMHC with the purchase. But if it's a refinance, they would have to do like RIP and then CMHC. But they were saying like in certain cases you can actually buy down the rates.
Yeah.
So let's say CMHC gave you 4.5% interest rate, but you can buy that down even further. So now you are increasing your loan to value. So if you, let's say for example you had to spend 20,000 to buy down that rate,
Mm-hmm.
but then you've increased your refinance amount another 100,000, and your monthly capital has gone up $100,000. So it's like, at first I was like, okay, well, why am I buying down the rate? Because that's money out of my pocket. But then
Initially,
like, you spent 20 grand to buy it down, but then you're getting back 100 grand on the refinance. And you're getting an additional $1,000 a month in cash flow. So in 20 months, you're going to pay off that 20 grand. Not to mention that you got an extra 100,000 out of the refinance. So it's like kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah,
those
no, but
options are not necessarily available for residential.
It's stuff like until you know, you don't know, right? This is why I like what we're doing with all of this all sharing and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to get a fund in here as one of that's another pillar I think that we're missing in the community is somebody who's doing a fund and running numbers on funds and like kind of like their struggles, right? You know what I mean? Like Manny does a lot of the duplex, triplex stuff, right? You're doing that like larger to mid-size projects, and then if we can get somebody doing the massive stuff, we'll have all of the big pieces and be able to kind of go across with all of that stuff. Like I'm trying to find another contractor too, like somebody who does duplexes and triplexes, like that's their bread and butter. That's not my bread and butter. Like I do them, they're easy, but they're not for me. They're not worth it, right? Like I don't. We're all about the apartment units, like the layouts, the designs, like the larger stuff. So I think it'll be good, and we'll learn. We're gonna learn different things sooner, right? Before you get to that layer, you're gonna be hearing about from that layer, right? Which is what I think the goal should be. But yeah, no, this was good, man. I think these are awesome because even though maybe everybody can't take their lunch or whatever, or as we kind of get more recognition about what you're doing, this is like people pay thousands of dollars to be on a course to get these numbers run for them, right? So the fact that we're able to do these things at a good level too, it's not like you're guessing or whatever. You're pretty experienced, and I love that. Which is why I work with you, and we've partnered together and stuff on a lot of different deals. But yeah, this is gonna be good. We just gotta get you. I don't know. We gotta do a poll. We should come up with like three names for Arrow, keeping you on the point, keeping you on the point with your budgets, or keeping you on your point with investments. I don't know. We gotta come up with something fun.
Yeah, have fun.
Fun. Are you coming
I
to any
like.
of the events this week? There's
I might.
one
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I might pop into the gain event tonight. I'm going to be in Hamilton, so I might just pop in. Are you going to that one? I think Henry goes there.
Henry goes to everything. No, Gain. That's Alex, right? Alex Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Hamilton's far from me. I don't know how Henry goes to Hamilton. Like, dude, for me to drive to Hamilton, it's tough. Plus, Wednesdays I go to this thing called Beat Each Other Up Days.
Nice.
So I'm gonna do Brazilian
You
Jiu-Jitsu
should do a live. You should do a live from jiu-jitsu class.
from Jiu-Jitsu class. I can.
Yeah.
It's pretty complicated. We should do a live roll.
Yeah.
If you can beat me up in Jiu-Jitsu match, I'll give you I don't know, I'll give you a free reno. I'll give you a free reno.
Holy, that's a good deal. I actually I was in wrestling when I was in high school, so not bad, but
Buddy.
not it's not jiu-jitsu, but
In high school, how long ago were you in high school?
14 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's that's the funny part, right? Because you're like, oh, I used to do it, right, in school or whatever. Yeah, back in the day, like, yeah, sure, I still do it.
Now
Well, like you've taken
like
14 years off. I've been doing it for 14 years straight.
that's crazy.
I haven't taken any time
I
off,
wish I could.
right?
I always I was always naturally like athletic, but it's a blessing and a curse because you just rely on your natural abilities for too long, and then once you get 30, it's like you just lost that, you lost that, you lost that. It's like
Hen-
yeah,
Henry said deal, and then he said bet about the Reno if he beats me in a fight.
he's gonna beat you up, man. He's
No,
gonna
I
beat
told
you
him.
up.
I'll give you all my assets. You can have it all. Our event, Cindy, is gonna be on the 23rd. I'll share a link to it. It's in the Discord chat. Oh no, it's not. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It's in there. It's on the Discord
And
community
then
events. I'm just gonna link
and
it
then
into
what's
the
up
chat.
tomorrow, right? There's a
Tomorrow is the Deal Estate event with Deji, DJ. I don't know.
that's in Etobicoke.
That's gonna be in Etobicoke. See, that's closer to me. I'm gonna pop my head in there. Um, see
Yeah,
see who's there.
I'll probably hit that up too for a little bit.
Cindy, for this event, just come. I'll get you a free ticket. You and Pedro for the Infinite REI with Grow. You're always super helpful. You're like supporting tons of our stuff. I'll give you a free ticket because you're my girl.
Yep.
Henry, you gotta pay.
But
And then Friday is I'm gonna try to go. Maybe I'm gonna go early. Like maybe I'll go for 4 on Friday to the Spark Generational Wealth event.
yeah, I think that'll be a good again networking place.
It's good. He draws a random crowd. Like that's what I don't like about some of these networking things. It's so especially when they're like there's so much overlap with speakers or people that are involved in them, which is why we're trying to like mix up who we're in. Because then it's always the same people, right? Like you go to this event, you go to that event, you go to that event, and you're like, okay, wow, I hung in the room 3 times with the same people, and it's good, but it's not great. Like it's greater to like constantly be meeting new people and connecting with different people, even different like leaders of each group, because they have different things, different skills, different you know different.
I
I
agree.
agree.
I
I
agree.
agree.
We should
We should
probably
probably
do
do
my
my
goal,
goal,
right?
right?
Maybe we
Maybe we
can
can
align our
align our
goals
goals
together.
together.
Is to
Is to
do
do
two
two
events
events
that
that
are
are
only
only
catered
catered
towards
towards
a
a
specific
specific
type of
type of
uh,
uh,
Investor.
occupation,
occupation,
let's say.
let's say.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
occupation.
like so.
so
For
for
example,
example,
imagine
imagine
doing an
doing an
investment
investment
seminar
seminar
or an
or an
event
event
for
for
just
just
doctors or
doctors or
healthcare
healthcare
professionals,
professionals,
right?
right?
And
And
Yeah, we could do that. We
or
should.
do
No, we should do that. I
I
think
think
we
we
should
should
do
do
that
that
because then you
and
could
do one
cater.
for, I know
Adrian
Adrian
does
does
this,
this,
but
but
like
like
doing it
doing it
just
just
specifically
specifically
for
for
first
first
responders,
responders,
right?
right?
So
So
like
like
police,
police,
fire,
fire,
and
and
Yeah,
emergency
emergency
EMS.
EMS,
But
but
something like
something like
that,
that,
or
or
even
even
just
just
getting
getting
towards
towards
like
like
lawyers or
lawyers or
something. You
something.
know what I
You know what I
mean?
mean? Like
So
so,
yeah, I think
I
it'll be
think it would be
good to
good to
get
get
more
more
people
people
into the
into the
investment
investment
world,
world, um,
and
and
just
just
again
again
grow the
grow
whole
the whole
community,
community,
right?
right?
Because
Because
I feel
I
like a
feel like
lot
a
of
lot of
those
those
people
people
that
that
make
make
decent
decent
income,
income,
maybe they
maybe they
don't
don't
necessarily
necessarily
know
know
how
how
to
to
invest that,
invest that,
right? Because
right?
they're
Because
yeah,
they're
really
really
book
book
smart, but
smart,
they're
but
not
they're not
necessarily
necessarily
savvy
savvy
enough
enough
to
to
invest
invest
and
and
make their
make their
wealth
wealth
create
create
more
more
wealth.
wealth,
no, no, I agree. Okay, man,
Right.
right?
this was
So
good.
Awesome.
awesome.
So
So
next
next
Wednesday, I'll
Wednesday
have
I'll have
something
something
different,
different,
and
and
maybe
maybe
I'll
I'll
try to
try
get
to get
some
some
video
video
footage. I
footage.
don't
I
know if
don't
you
know if you
guys
guys
like that.
like that.
I
I
think I
think I
did that
did that
last
last
time.
time
The video is good. I
where we
think
had
yeah,
like a
video is good. Video is good because especially if like I'm on or Henry's on or even Manny's on or whoever else is on because then they can kind of like talk through some of the stuff with you and that's like because you've already walked
yeah
through it so you're looking at certain things but I'll look at different things and Henry will look at different things so it's good to like you know cross that vision over.
Yeah,
yeah for sure.
do
Do
you
you
think it would
think
be
it
a
would
good
be a good
idea
idea
to,
to
if we
if
do
we
have
do have
videos,
videos
with
with
along with the
along with the
numbers, to
numbers to
post
post
that
that
into the
into the
deals
deals
section, or
section, or
that's like
that's like
too
too
spammy?
spammy?
No, because the deal section I'll show you when we jump off and I'll show you what I mean and then you can kind of decide for yourself. It's not going to be like a feed. Like the deal thing is not a feed. It's not like WhatsApp where you just post it and then it's going to get lost. It'll stay. It's kind of like the events. You know how we have the events on our
Hmm.
networking channel, the events? It's going to be very similar to